In 1998, the CPP death benefit was reduced from $3,580 to $2,500, and since then, it hasn't increased by a single dollar. 1998, well, it was a long time ago, so why hasn't the CPP death benefit increased since then? In this video, we'll look at the challenges caused by the outdated CPP death benefit, and then we'll discuss the potential solutions that could significantly change the CPP, the Canadian Pension Plan, helping to put Canadians in a much better position for their retirement. Now, beyond the upfront $2,500 payment, there's an ongoing survivor pension potentially as well. If you have kids, they will provide some to them as well. But I want to focus on the $2,500 because that's really the itching point for me as far as why hasn't this changed and how it affects all of you as you decide when to take your Canadian pension plan. For the majority of you watching this video, the decision on when to take your Canadian pension plan is really based on the break-even point. And a lot of you will run a break-even point on the individual silo that the Canadian pension plan is. You're not incorporating all the other assets and income sources that you have. And that's a big drawback and failure that you're doing to yourself as you enter into retirement. The break-even point has to incorporate all other assets and income sources that you have. If you're not doing that, you're missing out. But what if the death benefit looked a little bit different than just a flat $2,500? What if it was actually tied to the amount that you paid in? Much like your RSP, if you pass away, yes, it'll be taxable, but at least the money's there. It's left to your loved ones, to charity, whoever you want to pass that money to, maybe your spouse. Whereas the CPP is just gone forever. And $2,500 is a little solace to the amount that you actually paid in to begin with. There's a report done recently in an article on advisor.ca, and I'll link that article below so you can read through it. But I want to go through that article on this video today because it brought up a really great idea as far as what could be done with the CPP death benefit. Again, a lot of you are making the decision to take your Canadian pension plan at 60 to 65 because you say, well, yeah, I might die in the next few years. Statistically, you're not going to, but a lot of you feel that way, and I get that. I'm getting older every day, and I feel like that too some days. But at the end of the day, the reality is you're probably going to live into your 80s, maybe even early 90s. If you're a married or common law couple here in Canada in your early 60s, the chances are that one of you will actually live into your 90s. So are you making a short-term decision that's going to cost you long-term? But again, part of that short-term decision is I want to start collecting my money because if I die, it's gone. Like, who cares about $2,500? That's going to do very little to my spouse, to my loved ones, to all that. I want to start collecting as much as I can. But of course, that's a short-sighted decision, but also driven, I think, a lot by that death benefit. So if we could change the death benefit to change the impact on how much it would have later on if you did pass away, maybe people would start delaying their CPP and helping themselves with regards to their Canadian pension plan. So in the article, it says, the biggest obstacle to delaying CPP payments among those who can afford it is loss aversion. The psychological phenomenon occurs when retirees feel it's unfair to miss out on CPP income they could have claimed if they died earlier than their break-even point. And this is a conversation I have with a lot of you, is that break-even point. I'm taking it early, I've paid into it. If I die tomorrow, I've had nothing. I want to collect as much as I can. But of course, statistically, you're going to live into your 80s, and that decision early in your 60s will have a huge impact later on in your 80s if you continue to live, which again, statistically, you probably will. It goes on to say, implementing a CPP money back guarantee as a death benefit could improve decision making. So let's jump into that. What does CPP money back guarantee look like? Well, in my head, it's what you pay in, much like an RSP, what you pay in, there's a pool of money there. And there's obviously a lot of nuances of how much growth over time and what does this actually look like. But it's a starting point. It's a lot better than the current $2,500. So if there's some sort of money back guarantee on, if you die before you collected back at least what you paid in, like maybe there's a small nominal interest payment on that as well, but even at least just give me back what I paid in. And if I was self-employed and made double payments, like pay me the double back. So it's a good starting point because I think for a lot of you, if you said, look, yeah, delay your CPP to 70. If you die at 71, you're going to at least get back what you paid in. So yeah, you've lost some interest along the way, but you've also had the benefit of what happens if you live to 100. They're going to pay you much more than you paid in and way more than the interest that you could have earned. So you kind of have to play both sides of the coin here, but I feel like it is a bit lopsided with the $2,500 death benefit. So what would it look like with a 100% money back guarantee on your Canadian pension plan if you die before you collected at least what you paid in coming back to you. The article goes on to say in retirement, people are most scared of running out of money and inflation eroding the value of money. But refusing to delay CPP, which is the safest way to protect themselves from running out of money, violates their biggest retirement priority, they say. So, and that is the reality. Everyone wants a defined benefit pension plan, a guaranteed income that's adjusted to inflation for the rest of their life. Well, for a lot of us, most of us that don't have defined benefit pension plans, your CPP is just that. Yet, you decide to take the smallest amount possible because we're taking it early. And that's where this money back guarantee would add another layer to it and actually create a break even point of zero, essentially. So an infinite break even point. But it would open up the conversation of, okay, I'm willing to delay it because if I do die early, at least I'm getting back what I paid in originally. At the end of the day, looking at when to take your CPP is a huge mental obstacle for most of you. Again, I always say retirement is 10% financial, 90% psychological. And I can show clients all day long that taking your CPP later makes sense for you. For most people, it will. But there's that psychological, the mental, the emotional side of things that people have to fight through. And so, again, adding a money back guarantee on the death benefit for your Canadian pension plan might help alleviate that and actually move it from the psychological decision making standpoint over to the financial one. So, my question with all this is if we change the way death benefits done around the Canadian pension plan, what's the cost? We know that there's been massive changes to the Canadian pension plan in the last 5 years or so. We're paying more into it. There's CPP 2.0. There's the post-retirement benefit. A lot of us are paying a lot more into CPP than we ever have before. So if we add a larger death benefit or a guaranteed death benefit, that's going to cost something. So what is the true cost of that? In this research paper, the number that they point out is about 1.4 to 3.7% of your overall benefit, which in my opinion is actually a pretty small price to pay. And the reason they note that it is so low, it's only, again, about 2 to 4% of the cost of your CPP is, well, there's such a low probability that people are actually going to die before they've made back their money. The cost is very, very cheap, they say. And that is the reality. Again, you probably statistically, again, you will live into your 80s, maybe early 90s even. Statistically in Canada, if you're 60, 65, you're going to live into your late 80s. So the chances that people will get this death benefit early is a small percentage. And that's why the cost of adding this in is a small percentage. So my question to you would you reduce your overall CPP payment that you're collecting by 2 to 4% so that you can get a 100% death benefit or a guaranteed buyback death benefit at the end of the day? I think a lot of you would. And I think this is food for thought and a really good article and breakdown on different options we can look at around your CPP death benefit. So thank you for joining us in this video. Leave comments below if you have other ideas on what they should do around CPP death benefit that keeps the program moving forward. It's structured in a way where it can financially viable. Again, a lot of you, yeah, you want 10% on that CPP payment that you've made into there and all of that, but it has to be realistic and has to be sustainable. And something like this sounds sustainable to me. But again, leave your comments below. I'd love to hear from you.